Hey, what's up guys, it's T-Bone here and welcome back to another episode of playing Legendary Game of Heroes. So today we're going to cover the upcoming event, the Wretched Scourge, which is a Fire Slayer event. And in today's episode, we're going to do a few things. Number one, we're going to take a look at the cards themselves that is ready for preview. We'll talk about the mechanics behind it, and then we're going to examine some of the decks I've already built in anticipation for the event and that we're going to definitely test out when the event starts. We're also going to try my luck and open a pack a couple of times to see if I can get the event hero. And then finally, we're going to cover the newsfeed for this event. Now, if you have not yet, I highly recommend you start taking a look at the newsfeed and start paying attention to what's in there because there's a lot of information. For this particular event, there's a lot of text in here. And so what I've done is I've highlighted a couple of important announcements that we're going to that I think is relevant, and we're going to cover that, and we'll talk about how I think about them and how it might impact you, and that will be what you should expect in this particular episode. So let's get started right away and talk about the cards. So this is a fire corrupt type card, and so let's take a look at the featured hero, Manvos the Avenging, and let's take a look at the artwork here because this is something I want to pay attention to. All of them have these really grotesque kind of monstery type things, and you can see there's like mouth coming out everywhere. So this one has a mouth coming off the chest, and we can see there's also eyes coming out of the arm, and it looks like he's got a basically monster for an arm. Okay, and it looks like a shield that breathes fire. So let's take a look at what this card does. So this card is an event card, so you should expect that it will provide the 400% damage and health for all fire corrupt hero in guild versus guild attack. That's to be expected. Now, battle skill. It's a Fevered Blades. It destroys 15 non-fire gems plus 3 additional gems for every 30 corrupt intensity, rounded down. Heal for 300% recovery per gem destroyed. Has a cooldown of 3 turns, charge rate of 9 gems. And a passive, Anathema. When an enemy attacks, creates 1 firepower gem 3, triggers once per Manvos per turn. So this card is basically the same as the Morte Thronos card, except there's a very key difference. If you notice, the Morte Thronos had an additional property where when you activate a battle skill, it actually cleanses all debuffs, but it doesn't exist in this battle skill. So Manvos the Avenging is like Morte Thronos, but it's lacking a very critical skill here, which I wish they had kept in. I'm not sure if this is intentional, but we'll see how this works out. So in comparison, this card is a little weaker than Morte Thronos because of that. All right. Otherwise, it has the same mechanic. You basically would use this to destroy gems, but you can also use this to heal and to create power gem every 2 turns in a Slayer event. So it's still a good card to have. It's just that without the cleanse, it just pales a bit in comparison to Morte Thronos. But I do like the card a lot. So we'll see how this will work out in the full deck here. And then let's take a look at the support card here, Vanna, Seeker of Glory. And we'll take a look at the art here. And, I guess the only part of her that, is different is her arm, where you can see a mouth coming out of her forearm. And unfortunately, her hands are really big. But otherwise, I think, she looks okay there, right? So let's take a look at the skill here. Battle skill, Jinxed Fist. It adds 10 corrupt intensity, then attacks for attack times 50% plus 200% per 5 intensity. If you're below 50% max HP, spawn 4 fire gems. This is basically the same thing as Aerobata from the last Light Slayer event, except a main key difference here is it spawns fire gems when you're below 50% instead of a heart gem, power gem. So you're not going to get the heal like you did with the light gem. So there's less heal here in this particular deck, but there's more gem spawning. And so this is going to be more of an attack focused type deck versus a heal type deck. And there is also a passive here. When the enemy attacks, increase corrupt attack by 40% per turn, and it also stacks for every card that you have in here. And so this is basically, the free options would be if you get if you get 1 or more of the support card, you're going to get more attack boost. And if you get 1 or more of the Manos, you're going to get the gem, the Gem Destroy property, and you're going to also continue to create passively a power gem every 2 turns, which is really good if you're lacking that. And then we'll take a look at the ultra rare card here, which is Bedeviled Vanna. Now, what she does is she creates a firepower gem 2 plus an additional firepower gem 2 for every 10 fire gems on the board, upgrades, it basically goes down to every 5 fire gems for every fire gem on the board. So at 6 stars. And so this is like the Seraph, right, from the previous deck. This is essentially the same deck as the last Light Slayer event. And I have seen really good damage coming out of this particular deck, but you do need multiple copies of the Ultra Rare and also the Master Card Collection, because at most you're going to get about 7 or 8 power gems created per card, because you generally don't fill up the entire board, and so you really need at least 2 and 3 really to be successful here. So this is one of those decks that does have a more dependency on the ultra rare if you wanted to work with that mechanic. And so with the difference here with the master card collection card is that it spawns power gem 3s rather than power gem 2s. All right. It does have a passive here, so at the beginning of every turn, every stack of corrupt intensity moderately increases the drop rate. So you're going to get increased drop rate if you have this card in there, so that when you destroy gems, more fire gems will drop. So that's sort of, you know, the deck here. Now I did see a lot of good success. A lot of people had really good damage output from the last Light Slayer event. So I think that you're going to get something similar with this particular deck as well. Let's take a look at the collection cards. Now, this is an area where I think most people are probably going to really struggle, because Dragon Dancer is an ultra rare from quite a few events ago, when we also had a Fire Corrupt Commander event. Now, this card will actually create 2 Power Gem 3s. I think it upgrades to Power Gem 4s at 6 star. I can't remember. And then we have Sunspot, which is basically the ultra rare version of Idalia. Unfortunately, this card is not very useful because it just gives you immunity to the damage for 1 turn. At 6 stars, it simply changes the cooldown to 7 turns with a charge rate of 9 gems. And again, this was an ultra rare card from a long time ago, so not many people I would expect would have this. And then same thing with the Surtur, which is a Warden from Ragnarok event with Thor and the Valhalla Maiden. And so these are cards that I would expect that you're not going to be able to get, but I believe Surtur is actually available in the Dust Shop, so you can try and collect from there as well. I do have him only at 4 star, not leveled up. And so this is an area where, you know, compared to the last Light Slayer event, I would expect this probably be a little bit more difficult for people to go for the collection. And so let's talk about what we can do if we wanted to try and have a more budget-friendly deck. And to do that, let's take a look at the cards I have here. So we can actually start from here Okay, so we'll start from here. The first one is a Fire Warrior deck. And this will take advantage of Thula, which is going to shine into this particular event because we're going up against a Earth boss. So remember, Thula will actually spawn power gems, just like Orsang. Orsang is an upgraded version of Thula, but it's still a good card to have, and I have 3 copies of her, so I'm going to run this with 1 Domi. I'm only using 1 Domi in this particular case because at some point it doesn't really matter for me to have that much gem spawn. 1 Domi would actually be sufficient for me. Instead, what I wanted to do was take advantage of the Cannibal God here, which is a spirit card, so that I could actually, well, this card also gives me immunity, but really I'm using it so that I can have another relic here that gives me a Power Gem 2, every Power Gem 1, as long as there's 4 Power Gems or more on the board. Same thing with the Chimera Cestus. And also with my 3 relics here, I'm also going to be getting more power gems on the board with Thula, with Domi to get some good damage. I'm expecting this deck to actually do pretty well. So hopefully you have something like this. The second option is using a much older deck that has the concept of a chain. So this is the Junko, Hideki, and Vulcan combo. Now, this is an older deck, older cards, so I would expect this to not deal as high of a damage, but it does boost all honor cards, and so I'm cheating a little bit. I'm going to put in Flamma in here to give me passive spawn, and I'm going to have Domi as well for the gem spawn, and I'm going to put in all relics except for a Ray Staff to boost all fire damage. So this is going to be another damage-heavy deck, and I'm going to run this. If you have this, all 3 of these cards, except for Vulcan, are available in the Dust Shop. Now, Vulcan is an ultra rare card, so it's going to be very hard to get. I haven't heard anybody get it yet, but it might be possible. You might be able to get it, so hopefully you have good luck there. And if you do have them, this is another option you can go with. But even without Vulcan, you can still go with a Junko Hideki combo to give Hideki a boost by 50% for the damage. And also if Banisher is active, it goes up to 200%, and so you're going to have a lot more damage output there with that particular deck. And of course, you know, I can't go into a Fire Slayer event without using the full Flamma deck, so this is what I'm going to run with. I've showcased this many times, so I'm not going to do this again. And then we'll talk about the Earth Slayer. So this is, you know, taking advantage of the last Earth Slayer event, the Mystic Heroes. But I am adding in here Voluptus. Voluptus is nice to have. Actually, she's, you know, these kind of cards actually don't get a lot of attention because you can actually use her ability to create heart gems when you're in a pinch to actually heal yourself quite a bit, and then followed by 3 Earth Gems at the beginning of the next turn. You're increasing your recovery, and also it works really well with, you know, Ophrah, who's always going to be creating an Earth Gem every single attack. And so you can use this to, I believe this can be also used to a good degree of success because you're going up against an Earth hero, so you're not really going to have a penalty, you're just not going to have the affinity bonus. Lastly, I have Alexa here, and I was able to pull a second Alexa so that I could offset some of the pains of a 30% proc rate for all of the power gems here. So I'm just going to try out. This used to be one of my favorite decks, so I'm going to continue to try that out as well. And then finally, here are all of my Fire Corrupt heroes. So this is a Fire Corrupt event, so I definitely will be building a deck using the event cards, coupled with any of these cards, and I definitely think that I'm going to use Thulu here as the main card that I'm going to include, who is a card that actually generates 10 gems, right? So 10 fire gems, and so this is the card I'm going to be running with, depending on what I get. I will show you in the next episode on what the team looks like. So that's pretty much sort of, you know, the ideas I have here. I think if you wanted to use a more budget-friendly deck that uses the feature cards, then I would think that you definitely want to try and get the event card. You'll want to get Manvos for sure. And if you're able to get one from the pack and one from the collection, running 2 of them, using, you know, this card and maybe Domi or some other options to give you more gems, you're going to be able to do some good damage there. So we'll talk about the deck once I actually have the cards, and we can run through some ideas there. Now finally, let's go and take a look at the pack that's available. So I mentioned to you that we can take a look at the differences that they've created in the store. And basically what they did was they simply separate out the event packs that's available per event and the regular packs that you'll always see every single day, so that you don't get inundated with, you know, packs all over the place. This is where you go if you wanted an event pack. So we'll talk about the Head Start pack first. Keep in mind that this is a Slayer event. Don't use your gems to go up by another 50 levels. Collect the free one if you want. You know, you're going to get a little less keys, but I think that they're you know, because you're skipping 50 levels and you're not going to have as many of the small bosses to fight to get the keys. But remember, you're going to get finisher keys for 15% damage. And so this might not be a big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and collect the free 50 boss level. And I'm not going to spend the 500 gems, and I recommend that you don't do either. Just get the free 50 boss levels. Now let's go and take a look at this deck. So 240 gems is the first tier, followed by 560. I'm going to go up to tier 3 just because I can get 500 gems back. Up to tier 3, we're looking at 800, 1920 minus 500. We're looking at spending 1400 gems. All right, so let's go ahead and spend 1400 gems. I have 3600, so we can afford that. Let's see if we get lucky on any of the 3 tiers. Keeping the fingers crossed, let's try and open a pack. It looks like it's a red card. And it's not a feature card. So let's now go to tier 2 and let's see what we get. I don't believe I've ever pulled a card I needed on tier 1, which is really sad. So we have, hey, look at that, a 5-star card that it's a Toad. I thought that was an event card. I don't think I get 3 cards here, so I do get 3 cards, and again, I don't get a card there. So one more tier. Let's try for the event card, and let's see if we get it. Oh, that's not promising. I got a blue and a light card, or green card. Okay, so I think that's going to be a key, and that'll probably be the gems. And again, keeping the fingers crossed, let's hope for event card. And I don't get it. All right, so I guess I'm going to have to wait for the 5-star collection to get lucky with the event card. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the event card in this particular event. I hope you get better luck than I do. So now what we talked about in the beginning of this episode was that we're going to cover some of the news feeds. And what I'm going to do, given that it's already a relatively long video, I'm just going to talk about some really small things. I'm going to cut through a lot of the items here. I actually have highlighted a bunch of things. The first one is this is a VIP appreciation week, so you're going to have the loyalty points for non-VIPs. And you can expect that you're going to see support cards now also in the collection. And also they're keeping the 10 times awakened option for this card, just like we're saying. So you can expect to see that. Some of the other things I think is going to be really important. 2 things I wanted to cover. First one is luck. Because this is a VIP appreciation week, there is a VIP pack. If you're going for the ultra rare card, this is a very important note. 2 things. Number 1, the luck counter will not go across packs. So whichever pack you pull from, the luck stays there. So you shouldn't. So that means if you pull from one pack and open from another pack, you're not going to have the luck counted there. So that's the first thing. The second thing is in the VIP deck, VIP pack, the guaranteed tier 6 will not reset your luck. So in the worst case scenario, you'll go up to tier 6 for an ultra rare card, and then you'll get tier 7. Step 3 for your second ultra rare. So keep in mind that it does not reset, which is important information for you if you do plan to go for it. Second thing, and the final thing I wanted to cover here, there's all a bunch of other information in the newsfeed, but I'm just going to stop here. Zen bosses is a new boss type, and just like a Terra boss is new and they have something unique about it, and this time it's going to block all intensity generation in battle. So it is huge because that will block a lot of cards, decks like Halloween type decks, and that will require us to have to think about other ways to deal damage, because you can't build up the nuke. You can't build up the power gem generation. And so then we have to come up with a new strategy, and I definitely will be looking for ways to build a team around that. And so what you should expect is that it's not going to spawn as quickly and as much as it did before with the Terra bosses, and you should expect it to see it at levels 100 and above. So these are some useful information. I'm excited about the Zen boss. I'm quite interested in seeing how this is going to go out. They're making tweaks, right? They're making tweaks every event, and so we'll see how that plays out. And you know, give some feedback. Let me know what you think, and let me know the teams that you're running. And we will come back in the next episode when the event has started. We will go over the actual cards, we'll go over the decks, and we'll test them out, and we'll see how it goes. And so that's all for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for your time, and I'll see you when the event starts. Take care and see you then.